Hey guys, welcome back or welcome to my channel. So if you guys have been on TikTok, Instagram, or literally any corner of the internet lately, you've probably seen this trend of people saying 2026 is the new 2016. I've also seen a lot of videos romanticizing 2016 with the Snapchat dog filter, bringing back the fashion, Polaroids, and some of the best songs from that year too. And I feel like no one can really escape this trend, and all of this got me thinking about why we want to make 2026 the new 2016 so badly. I mean, isn't the new year usually a time where we look to the future instead of the past? So in today's video, I kind of want to break down this trend as a whole and see what it actually means, what's driving it, and what it tells us about nostalgia, anxiety, and social media culture now in 2016. So first, let's quickly cover what the overall trend looks like. When people say 2026 is the new 2016, they're talking about a viral nostalgia boom where users are basically going back into the mid-2010s. The phrase itself blew up at the start of 2026, especially on TikTok and Instagram, where people were sharing old photos, aesthetics, filters, fashion, and music from 2016. It's honestly just all a callback to a time where social media felt simpler. The thing is, 2016 was definitely not as perfect as these TikToks make us remember it to be, and returning to its aesthetic doesn't really solve anything. So what's really going on here? I think this trend is purely made from nostalgia, which, yes, I know, duh. But here, nostalgia isn't just remembering the past, it's a psychological coping mechanism. When things feel overwhelming, uncertain, or stressful, our brains naturally gravitate towards a time that felt simpler, safer, or just overall happier, and that's exactly what I think is happening here. Research on nostalgia shows that people often feel strongest nostalgia for times that are about a decade in the past. So it's close enough for us to remember it clearly, but distant enough for us to feel like it was an entirely different era. And that's why right now, exactly 10 years after 2016, this moment feels perfect for going back in time to revisit it. For a lot of people, 2016 was a time before the pandemic, and that meant a time when social media algorithms felt more organic compared to now. It was a time where social media was generally less curated and more about being playful. All the viral challenges were more communal, and the biggest for me personally is that it was a time before AI generated content was flooding every corner of the internet. Do you guys remember Pokemon Go and how everyone was going outside trying to catch Pokemon? And then I also think memes just didn't feel as forced, and apps like Vine and Musical.ly were just thriving, and it was so much more fun. I remember that time as a place where social media just knew how to be fun, and it wasn't like a constant advertisement for things I didn't need, which I feel TikTok has very much turned into. Side note, my algorithm on TikTok is so bad. I don't know if this is happening to everyone else, but literally every single post is an ad or a link to a product, and it's really annoying. So if anyone is going through that or knows how to fix it, please let me know, because I really do not like it. Anyways, getting back to what I was saying, psychologically, all of this matters because someone's perception of the past is often shaped more by feeling than by fact. Even if the reality was complex or even messy, nostalgia always emphasizes comfort, connection, and certainty, not accuracy. So let's go back a little more. What's triggering this mass nostalgia wave? I talked about this a little earlier, but I think there are two main reasons. The first being digital fatigue. Like I said, modern social media really just feels over-curated, very influenced by AI, and everything feels focused on perfection now. I think creators definitely are driven by optimization versus fun. And I think people overall, as consumers, are tired of polished feeds and people who are constantly pushing down products, aesthetics, and unrealistic expectations down our throats every second we're on an app. The 2016 era fully felt more authentic and less of a performance. The second reason I think that we really want to go back to 2016 is because there's so much economic and cultural uncertainty nowadays. This year's trend just overall shows that while 2016 had its share of political and global problems, it also symbolized a moment where technology still felt liberating and hopeful rather than something that's threatening or overwhelming as it's become today. As someone who lives in America, I can say that things are not looking good for us at all right now, with ICE raids happening all over the country, especially in Minneapolis. We're seeing the so-called American dream, democracy, literally everything fall apart in front of our eyes, and it's a truly frightening time to be alive. And on top of that, people just can't afford their necessities. Groceries, utilities, everything is so expensive and it feels almost impossible to survive. So turning back to 2016 is in part a response to stress and uncertainty. All of this to say, I think this also shows that in the end, we want different things out of social media than what it's evolved into today. If we were to break it down, I think what we want is a desire for connection on social media. Mid-2010, social media was weirdly communal and people felt like they were experiencing things together. In 2016, feeds are so scattered, algorithm-driven, and segmented, so I think social media is making us lonelier than it ever has before. And nostalgia for 2016 is a yearning for the sort of shared digital culture we used to have. I also think we're looking more for comfort over perfection. I think seeing these old photos with grainy filters, the Polaroids, everything, it shows that people are choosing emotional resonance over this picture-perfect aesthetics that we've been building on apps like TikTok. Nostalgia is essentially an emotional self-soothing tool. And I also want to note that the reason why we chose 2016 wasn't because it was perfect politically, socially, or culturally, but this trend kind of like forgets about all of that. We romanticize it not on its accuracy, but for the feelings of safety and simplicity that it held for us. Now, it's important to note that nostalgia isn't always healthy when it crosses a certain line. Looking back fondly can be comforting, but when we idolize the past, dismiss the actual complexity of those times, and avoid engaging with current realities, then nostalgia becomes purely an escape and not a form of reflection. Critics have pointed out in 2016, big political upheavals and cultural losses were very real. Yet, this part of the story is often ignored in these very aesthetic TikToks that we see, bringing it back. So, this trend, once again, is about feeling, not historical context. Those are basically all my thoughts about this trend summed up. I will have to say, I personally kind of love this trend because 2016 is just a very fun time to look back on. And I do kind of like that we're taking a step back and saying we're not really happy with our situation now and we want to go back to a simpler time. I think it's kind of fun, and I think this is the first trend that I've seen is like very universal. And I really love seeing that happen. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this trend, what you think it means, and what it's kind of telling us about ourselves. And yeah, just let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well, and I'll see you in my next video very soon. Bye bye!